No matter what your market is, if you've loaded up your Google Reader and are going through your daily curation workflow, you will be seeing news and announcements come in pretty frequently. So there's space in any niche for simple news and announcements kinds of posts. These are pretty simple posts to create, so we do like them for that. But like we've talked about in other videos, it's going to be tough for you to be an exclusive source or the first breaking source for any particular piece of news. There's so many other competing sites out there, even just general news sites, that could beat you to the punch, that your goal isn't necessarily to be first. You have to have news pieces just to show your audience that they can depend on you to get the news, and to show them that if they wanted to depend on you and you alone for all the news in your niche, that you wouldn't let them down, that you do have all of that information on your site and that they could in fact get it from you. Your site is a hub for your readers, a hub for anything and everything related to the niche. And as such, you have got to deliver on that by including news type posts. But news pieces like a company announcing a new product or that sort of news aren't necessarily always evergreen. They're good for traffic for a few days, maybe a week or so, but often not much longer than that. So while you have to do news and announcement pieces, and while they aren't difficult to do, they aren't always the best long-term traffic sources. So keep that in mind as you set aside time to do these kinds of posts. In other words, you don't want to spend all day on these kinds of things. So a news piece traditionally covers a few elements in a just the facts or facts only sort of manner. So you want to talk about who is involved in this story. Is it a CEO? Is it a fifth grader from down the road? Whatever the case may be, but include who is in the story, who made the announcement, who made the news, who was involved in this story. You also want to talk about what happened, what's going on. Answer that question from beginning to end so that people understand what is happening. Why are they reading this? You want to know when this occurred. Was this announcement made 10 minutes ago? Was this announcement made 3 weeks ago? Did this piece of news happen last night? Did this piece of news happen 7 years ago? That makes a big difference, obviously, to the reader of the story. So be sure to include when you're writing a quick news piece. Also, where. And this may not be quite as relevant, say, if a company is making an announcement of a new product. I mean, it isn't entirely necessary for the reader to know that they're headquartered in South Dakota or whatever the case may be. But it gives people a little bit more to the story, a little bit more information. So include it anyway. Now, obviously, many other pieces, local news pieces, those sorts of things, it will be much more interesting if you include the where. So try to include that when you do have that information, because it gives people a visual picture and they're kind of able to see the story happen. You also want to talk about how. So how did the event happen? Not just what happened, that somebody broke into a home or something like that, but how that happened. Did they get in through the cat door that was left unlocked? They want to know the reason that caused this thing to be. So always include that in your news pieces. And then finally, there's the why. Why? What was the motivation behind this particular announcement? Why is this company putting out a new product? Why did the burglar break into the home? There's a story behind our motivations and why we do things. And to make your news piece successful, you should absolutely include the why in your story. News pieces can also cover you and your site, new work that you're doing, products that you're releasing, site features that you're going to be adding, all qualify as news pieces, and you've got to put them up on your site from time to time to keep your visitors up to date with what's going on with you, with the site, with you in relation to the niche. However, keep in mind that this is not your personal blog, so while you want to include a bit of your personal life from time to time, it's not a good idea to make it all about you all the time. And just like announcements and news from outside your own life or outside your own site or niche, announcements that you make about yourself and your business are typically not evergreen and not really useful to your site over a long-term basis. While it might be exciting and a great way to build anticipation to announce to your readers that you're working on a new exciting project and you're going to share it with them next week. Once next week has come and gone and you have made that, shared that project with them, there's not much reason to keep that anticipation building post up on your site anymore because it's old news. The announcements have made, the project has been revealed. We don't need to talk about how you were once going to reveal that project, right? So again, consider the longevity of the announcement or news piece that you're writing when you create these kinds of posts, and don't labor over them for days and days on end. Say what you have to say, convey the information that you need to convey to your readers, and then move on. Also, consider deleting these kinds of posts once they're stale or no longer relevant, or have been replaced by posts that take a deeper look at the news, or a more thorough look that isn't just news but that might include opinion. Remember to do, if you do decide to delete some old ones, remember to do a 301 redirect from the old post URL that you have since deleted to the new post URL where you want your visitors to go instead.